All right, let's dive into a piece of technology that you're using every single day, probably without even thinking about it. We're talking about natural language processing, or NLP for short. It's the incredible, almost magical science of teaching machines to understand and speak our language. And to see just how powerful this is, let me paint you a little picture. So imagine you're just chatting with a friend, planning a trip. You say something exactly like this, right? Just casually figuring out flights and hotels. You finish your coffee, you move on with your day. But then later, your phone buzzes, and a smart assistant has already pieced together your entire conversation and drafted everything for you. Flight options, a hotel booking, maybe even a taxi reservation. So is this some far-off sci-fi fantasy? Nope, not even close. This is the power of natural language processing. And the wild thing is, this technology is already here. It's working behind the scenes in so many of the tools we use every single day. Okay, so how does this magic trick actually work? Let's pull back the curtain a little and really look at the technology that's building this incredible bridge between the way we think and the way computers operate. So, at its heart, what is NLP? Well, it's a huge field inside of artificial intelligence, and it's all focused on one massive goal: giving machines the ability to understand, interpret, and even generate human language. It's the engine that's decoding what you mean every time you ask a voice assistant for the weather or type a question into a search engine. And I think this image of a bridge is the perfect way to think about it. NLP is the ultimate translator. But it's not just translating between, say, English and Spanish. No, it's translating between the rich, messy, nuanced world of human thought and the super rigid, logical world of computer code. So, how does a machine actually do this? It's not just one step, it's a whole process. First, it has to understand the raw text, the grammar, the syntax, the structure of it all. Then it has to interpret the intent. What did you actually mean by that? From there, it generates a coherent thought or an answer. And finally, it responds back to you in a way you can understand, whether that's through text or a spoken voice. And this really gets to the core of why this is all so challenging. I mean, human language is, well, it's messy. Just take one concept: ambiguity. If I say, he went to the bank, am I talking about a riverbank or a place with money? For you and me, the context makes it obvious in a split second. But for a computer, learning to grasp that context is an incredibly difficult job. The journey of NLP has been, frankly, a whirlwind. We started with these really clunky, hand-coded, rule-based systems. Then we moved into machine learning and early deep learning. But the real revolution, the game changer, arrived around 2018 with something called the transformer architecture. This was the massive breakthrough that allowed AI to understand deep context over long, long stretches of text. It's the secret sauce that powers tools like ChatGPT today. Okay, now that we've got the basics down, let's look at one of the most powerful applications of NLP, the ability for an AI to actually understand emotional tone. We're talking about a field known as sentiment analysis. So what exactly is sentiment analysis? You can think of it as teaching an AI to read the room, but for text. It looks at a sentence or a paragraph and figures out the emotion behind it. Is this person happy? Are they angry? Or are they just neutral? The AI can tell. Let's walk through a real example. You've got a sentence like, "The movie was absolutely fantastic." The first thing the AI does is something called tokenization, which is just a fancy way of saying it chops the sentence up into individual words or pieces, the tokens. Then, those tokens are fed into a model that's been trained on millions of examples to understand the emotional weight of words. That's how it spits out a final classification. In this case, a big, clear positive. And believe me, this isn't just some tech demo in a lab. It's everywhere. Companies are using it to sift through millions of product reviews to see what customers really think. Brands are monitoring social media in real time to protect their reputation. Political campaigns are using it to get a pulse on public opinion. It's happening constantly, all around us. Okay, so we have machines that can understand emotion. Now, let's take it a step further. What happens when we try to teach them the art of conversation? Let's talk about chatbots, because NLP is what gives them the power to move beyond a simple script and have what feels like a real chat. Now, you've probably run into the first kind of chatbot, the rule-based ones. They're like following a very strict flowchart. If you ask a question that's not on the script, they just break. But modern AI-based chatbots, they're a whole different ballgame. They actually learn from gigantic amounts of text data, which lets them be flexible, adaptive, and way more helpful. And remember that transformer architecture we talked about? Well, this is where it really flexes its muscles. Older models had a terrible memory. They'd forget the beginning of a conversation by the time you got to the end. But transformers use a cool trick called self-attention, which lets them constantly weigh the importance of all the different words in a conversation, no matter how far apart they are. That's the magic that lets you have a long, flowing dialogue with something like ChatGPT, and it feels like it actually remembers what you're talking about.
And these things are popping up all over the place. I mean, think about it. AI tutors helping students with homework, customer service bots that are available 24/7, even mental health support bots like Wobot that can offer a listening ear. This technology is already woven into the fabric of our lives. But, and this is a big but, as these tools get more and more powerful, more and more human-like, we have to stop and ask some really serious ethical questions. Because with this kind of great power comes an absolutely immense responsibility. And to see just how high the stakes are, we don't need a hypothetical. We have a real-world cautionary tale that went completely off the rails. Microsoft's chatbot, Tay. Back in 2016, Microsoft launched Tay on Twitter. The idea was simple. It was designed to learn from its conversations with real people. What could go wrong? Well, pretty much everything. In less than a day, users had deliberately taught it to spew all sorts of hateful, offensive nonsense, and Microsoft had no choice but to pull the plug. It was a very harsh lesson in the dangers of AI learning from the unfiltered internet. So, what's the solution? How do we stop another Tay from happening? A huge part of it is moving away from what we call black box AI, where an answer just comes out, but we have no idea how the AI got there, and moving towards white box, or explainable AI. We need to build systems that can show their work, that are transparent, and can explain their reasoning. That's how you build trust, and that's how you ensure accountability. So where does that leave us? We've seen how machines are truly learning our language, from understanding our feelings to holding complex conversations. We've also seen the very serious ethical lines we have to navigate. This field is moving at an unbelievable speed, and the tools are becoming more accessible to everyone every single day. This technology is going to reshape our world. The only question left is, what are we going to build with it?